back to American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. Now, Joe Biden has been dodging the question around packing the Supreme Court, as well as other questions. But is it an issue that can actually happen if Democrats gain control of the Senate and Joe Biden does end up in the White House? Joining us now to discuss that and some other issues is attorney Ameer Benno. Ameer, I guess we'll start with that. What about packing the court? Because a lot of people don't know that the original Supreme Court was actually 6 members. It wasn't 9, and it got up to as many as 10, but it's been 9 since the late 1800s. Could they actually change that? How would they go about it?
Hi, Bob. Hi, Heather. It's great to be back with you guys. The answer is yes, they can change it.
Oh, no.
we lost you there, Ameer. We lost you. Yes, they can change. We got to the point where we said, yes, they can change it. But let's have our fingers crossed. Try it again.
Right. So to your point that it was at 6 and it climbed because of territorial expansion of the United States and increased population. And has never been increased because of political reasons, such as a particular political party decides that they can't enact the legislation that they want, they can't achieve their policy agenda, so they go to the Supreme Court because it's an easier path, and they ask these justices to do what they couldn't get done in either the state or the federal legislatures. It's never been done. It was proposed, obviously, we may remember from American history under FDR in 1937 when he came up with his New Deal legislation. And in that case, they were being shot down time and time again, his proposed bills, the statutes, and as being unconstitutional, as being an arrogation of power to the government that it didn't have under the Constitution. And when he threatened to put more judges onto the Supreme Court, there's one particular judge, a Judge Olmstead, I believe, who changed his vote on a particular piece of now not memorable legislation, and that's called the switch in time that saved 9. So it saved the 9 judges. So we never actually had to see whether or not FDR's plan to pack the court would come to fruition because he ended up getting all of his New Deal legislation approved by the Supreme Court. So the answer to your question is yes, it can, because it's statutory. It's not constitutional. That is the number of judges on the Supreme Court, but it's a purely political issue. And that's something that, if the Congress wants to do, if they get control of the Senate in January when the runoffs happen in Georgia and we have Joe Biden in the White House, it's something that's, I think, definitely one of their agenda items.
So in terms of that, let's just base this on the assumption that that does happen. What's your greatest concern that Joe Biden and Joe Biden administration could tackle? We've heard discussions about Puerto Rico, D.C., different things like that.
Well, I mean, you raise a great point, Heather, which is when they talk about changing institutions, it's not just the Supreme Court. When the Democrats can't get their agenda, their very leftist radical agenda enacted, they try to move the goalposts and change the institutions that can approve of them doing it. So, for instance, we've got the Supreme Court, and then you mentioned D.C. and Puerto Rico. What they're planning to do then, and this is something that they talked a lot about over the last several months leading up to Election Day, and in fact, the House approved legislation to declare Washington, D.C. its own state. That's for one reason and one reason only, and that is to get more senators into the Senate so that they have a permanent, from a Democrat, a majority Democrat area, so that we can have some confidence that they would be Democratic.
Yeah, Ameer, just we're running short on time. Could they accomplish that by a simple majority vote in both houses?
Yeah, sadly, they can. They can't eliminate the District of Columbia, but they could shrink it down. There's nothing constitutionally that forbids them from doing that. And in this case, because they wouldn't have to get the consent of any other states, they simply would have to get an approval by 60. But if they change the filibuster rules, it would just be by a simple majority. So, yes, it's a real concern, and that's why Georgia is so important.
And same with Puerto Rico.
Yeah, the same thing holds true with Puerto Rico as does with Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's why we did the segment. We wanted people to understand how important the runoffs are in Georgia, because this could have huge implications. So, Ameer, sorry to cut it shorter than we would like. I would talk to you all day long. But thank you so much for joining us, Ameer Benno.
Thank you so much.
Folks, I want to let you know about some amazing numbers that